Nikki Germain, thank you. There's Frankie Corrado, Jeff O'Neill, and Darren Dreger. Illustration number infinity of the tiny margins in hockey and the need to capitalize on your opportunities. 2 nights ago, the Leafs are in overtime with a chance to go up 3-0 on the Stanley Cup champions, who really hadn't looked like themselves the entire series. Marchand scores that goal, and then watching the Florida Panthers' performance in this one, can we now say they are officially back?
Absolutely, and confidence is a massive thing in the Stanley Cup playoff, James. And it's crazy how a goal that bounced off a stick went over the goaltender's head, and then boom, the Florida Panthers have regained their confidence, and they're the team. And I warned you guys that the goal-scoring bonanza was over, and it was going to be a tight hockey game, and that's exactly what happened tonight. The Florida Panthers are back. They were physical. They were tight defensively. Bob was on his game, and they force you to make mistakes in the neutral zone, and that's exactly what happened on the 2-0 goal by Sam Bennett, trying to fit something through the neutral zone. They prey on it, they take over the play, and Sam Bennett with an incredible patience play. 2 guys slide into the net, and he scores the goal. That's the team that has gone to back-to-back cups, and they just force you into mistakes. They played a heck of a game. I don't think Toronto was awful tonight.
No.
They just couldn't find that one goal to get back into the hockey game.
You're 100% right. It's not that Toronto was awful. It's not that Toronto even had that poor of a game. You have to give a lot of credit to the Florida Panthers. Any kind of narratives that there would have been as far as this team being tired or worn down, or maybe they're going to go away, Toronto's too fast, they squashed that. They found a way to play this game at their speed, and of course that is advantageous for them. All the things Jeff talked about, that is factual about the Florida Panthers, and they got to that game tonight.
So from midway point of the regular season, pretty much till the end of the regular season, Florida dropped off a little bit, but Craig Berube and the Leafs brass kept preaching, look, it's important to win the division, right? I mean, home ice is going to matter. We have to prepare for the inevitable task of taking on perhaps the defending Stanley Cup champions, but utilizing home ice as an advantage. So that's what Toronto has to be looking at. Sure, there's areas they've got to clean up. You know, Joe Woll got no run support in this one, but there were chances. Discipline may be a bit of an issue, but there's still some things that Toronto can like.
That's probably the only thing you can say is, before the series, would you have taken a best of 3 with home ice advantage?
Probably.
Pass with Florida? Maybe. Probably in the Leafs case. Well, they have no choice. They have to take it now.
That question always comes up after you lose a couple. It's never after a win. It's after a loss.
But you got to
spin take this. It's always after a loss.
Well, you got to spin it somehow.
I know.
After a loss like that. As per usual, we'll be here for the next little while, gathering post-game reaction. Let's start with the Leafs captain, Austin Matthews.
I mean, I think obviously, they're a team that puts a lot of pucks to the net. I thought we didn't do a good enough job of helping our D and executing coming out of the zone, and they were able to kind of sustain ozone pressure throughout the game. And I thought there was times where we were better, but I think just consistently over the 60 minutes they outworked us and outplayed us in that area.
What do you think of Joe's game?
I thought he was great. I mean, he, they got some good chances. He helped keep it 1-0 game there for the most part on some plays that, we can't let happen. So I thought he was great tonight.
Austin, what was your takeaway from the penalty kill in this one?
I mean, pretty good, but obviously, you spend half the game in the box. It's hard to generate momentum. It's hard to generate, energy and life for the bench. So that's on us to be, more disciplined in all those areas because, they're a good team on special teams, but, obviously it's special teams is such a big part of the game, especially in the postseason, so it's hard when you're killing a lot.
How do you guys get back to your game heading back home?
I mean, I think just resetting it a couple days here, couple days here, reset. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. We're playing the defending Cup champs. They're a good team. Both teams took care of home ice. So here we are. We just got to continue to push, clean up some things, get better in different areas, and going back on home ice, be excited about that.
Austin, you feeling a bit snake bit right now? Like, how are you feeling about your game?
A little bit. I mean, the chances have been there. I think I just got to do a better job of bearing down on some of them. But I think for the most part, throughout the 4 games, I mean, we've been winning shifts, generating chances. Against tough matchups, but obviously you want to score, I want to score, but continue to get these opportunities and just capitalize and go from there.
Leafs defenseman Brandon Carlo now.
About the team's performance tonight?
I think there was some things that we did well. I think there's some areas that we need to improve upon, but overall. We just need to, move forward and go on to the next game and bring the same mentality that we've had throughout these playoffs of coming into the games and giving our best shot.
Brandon, what did you think about Joe's performance in this one?
I thought Joe was awesome. Having a guy like that behind you, especially as a defensive guy like myself, very thankful for that. He held us in there all the way through to the end, and it's unfortunate we couldn't bounce one in the other net for us. But I thought Joe was awesome.
Craig Berube's been talking about how important discipline is in these playoffs. Do you think you got away from that a bit, especially in the first period there?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of calls against us for sure. I don't review penalties really or know if they're good penalties or bad penalties, but I think for ourselves, we want to stay out of the box to the best of our ability. And if we're going to take penalties, making good ones, between the whistles, playing hard. And I think we're capable of doing that. And I think we all have the tempers to not engage in the stuff afterwards.
What made it hard to generate offense in this one tonight?
They play a good team game, obviously. They're on top of you in a lot of areas of the ice. And I think from just a 5-man unit on our side of things, we need to try and get the puck behind them a little bit more, create a little bit more tension in their zone, and just throw some junk at the net. I think you've seen it this whole series and throughout the playoffs. Pucks are going in off of everybody. So just continue to throw random pucks at the net at times, but don't do that in the regard of taking away from the opportunity to find the grade A chances for sure.
He's right. After that last game, which was all goofy bounces off people, there was none of that in this game. You both said the Leafs didn't play a bad game. I would argue with 1/3 of that. The first period, they generated nothing, and they basically took penalty after penalty and were forced to kill the entire time, and they did a pretty good job of it until the end. But in the end, just too many penalties, too big an ask.
Too many, and sometimes it's a game of who's going to make the fewest mistakes. We could talk about the systems and the speed and the goal scoring, the defending. All that stuff, it's not necessarily going to matter if you're making unforced errors and mistakes, and that's what the Toronto Maple Leafs did in the first period. Max Domi, high sticking penalty. This one by Bobby McMann you can live with because at least you're playing hard at the end of the day. And then Matthew Knies, another stick penalty. This is all in the first period, keep in mind. And then another mistake by Oliver Ekman-Larsson. A little bit of a panic play, puck over glass, and that's going to open the door for the Florida Panthers, who needed a big response in this game, and they got that with It was a 5-on-3, of course, Matthew Knies coming out of the box, and the Florida Panthers are able to convert. So the start that the Panthers wanted was because the Toronto Maple Leafs made a number of mistakes that led to penalties early in the game.
When we both said they didn't play a bad game, when you're playing a quality team like Florida, it's not like they were awesome out there, but they had an opportunity come the third period with just 1-0. So there was a chance there. They just couldn't have anybody capitalize. So they weren't unbelievable tonight, but, man, they had a chance. It was right there. They just needed somebody to pot that goal. They couldn't get it.
You already quoted yourself from the other night, but I'll re-quote you. That you did say that there was going to be a 2-1 or 2-0 game coming very soon in this series, and you had to find a way for your goaltender to help you win that game. Did they waste a night where their goaltender did everything to win the game, but they gave him no help?
I would say yes, with a little wiggle room. Maybe we look back on this game, the performance of Joseph Woll, and definitively at the end of the series say, yeah, they wasted one there with no offensive support whatsoever. The chances, as we just heard from Austin Matthews, yes, undoubtedly they were there. If Toronto generates some offense, I think that Joseph Woll and the game that he played here in Game 4, it's probably a much bigger story here in the hot zone in our post-game coverage. He faced 15 shots in the first period, 14 shots in the second, and was as solid as he could be in the third period for a total of 37 shots. I mean, that's a fair amount of work against a veteran goaltender in Sergei Bobrovsky, who's game also appears to be getting better.
Yeah, and when you're looking down the ice at Bob, who's on top of his game, and I'm not going to break down strategic stuff because I don't know it, but what I can see is tonight he was tracking the puck. In a couple of games where the puck was going in the net all over the place, it just looked like he wasn't picking it up. Tonight, he looked dialed in and nothing seemed to faze him. And that's a dangerous thing. It's never comfortable when you're facing a goaltender who looks so solid like this. You see how just quick he gets up and how dialed in he is. Even on that opportunity for Austin Matthews, who was sitting right in front of the net, a guy that usually just roosted under the bar. He just looks composed and moving across the ice, shutting everything down at the right time. So can he keep this up is going to be a big problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs, because when this guy is dialed in and when he finds his game, he's a big-time problem.
That's the scariest thing, is that he's streaky and he wasn't very good.
But when he goes on those positive heaters, they last for 5 games.
They can last for 2 series sometimes, like they did last year. Let's hear from Sergei Bobrovsky.
You guys came home in a bad spot, and you're leaving here in a pretty good spot. How much has everything changed the last 4 days?
Yeah, it's a serious, the bigger games are ahead. So we're excited about them. The series come down to best of 3, so it's a big game next one.
The series has been high scoring, high shots. Tonight was a game where it looked like you guys got back to playing your brand of hockey. How does that make you feel back in the crease, knowing that your team's getting back to doing what they do best?
Yeah, the guys were outstanding. They work hard all series. It's just tonight was the game where everything comes together. Guys work hard, block shots, good bounces our way. So, but again, it's a series. So we enjoyed tonight. It's a good win for us, and we get ready for next.
When you hear the crowd going Bobby, I know you're probably tuning out pretty much everything, but Paul talked about the extra feeling when you're at home. You're that used since then.
Yeah, I always appreciate the fans' support. They are the best. So they always give me boost of energy and support us. And they are a 6th player on the ice, so it's fun to play at home.
Just the defensive effort by your guys today, just unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely. The guys again, the back check, the tight. It was a really good game.
It's second shutout of the postseason for you. It's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it all comes down to guys. How hard they work in front of me, and it's their shutout.
And now it's a best of 3 series, where you wanted to be coming home, right?
Yeah, we again, the next one is a big game, so we're excited about that, and we're getting ready.
Thanks, everyone.
To the other net now, and Joe Woll.
You see the same thing. I think it's a tight game, 1-goal game for most of it, and they played a pretty tight defensive game. Bob played really well, and it comes down to a goal or two. It's playoffs. It's those tight games, and I think I really liked the way that we played and kept to our structure, and I think we played pretty well in the 3rd period and took it to them pretty good, and just couldn't score.
What do you like about your game tonight?
I think as a team, and I think the defense helped me weather the storm a couple of times early in the game, and especially the first period, those kills, and I think we did a great job, almost killing off 4 in a row there.
What do you guys have to do to get back to your game in Toronto?
Yeah, I don't think we've strayed too far from our game. I think we know our identity, and we've played pretty consistently throughout the season. I think our record and so far in the playoffs we've proved that. And I think we're a capable team, and we just have to continue to do what we know and what we've done all year.
What do you appreciate about the way the leadership group has handled the moments of adversity when they come in this playoffs?
Yeah, it's playoff hockey, and it's never going to be very rarely it's going to be a walk in the park. It's we're expecting a long series. I think every time you go into a series with a team, you expect a long series, and it's going to go back and forth, and there's going to be momentum shifts. And I think that's what's important is that we stick to our identity and get back at it home.
Joe, in your position, how difficult is it to deal with those kills back to back that we saw early in the first?
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I think from one standpoint, it gets you in the game pretty quick, and it's nice to see some pucks. At the same time, I think being able to get a few kills in a row is a good momentum boost for us, and we almost had the 4th.
Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate it.
You hear all the Leaf players looking for positives. I'll say another one would be the fact that Woll was really good on this night. If he'd given up 2 softies, then that would be the entire conversation the next 2 days about what do you do, and there'd be sheer panic.
There's nothing else to do.
Right. But the fact that he played well going back to home ice, I think, has to at least make them feel decent about things. And at the other side, again, Bobrovsky's perfect on this night. Was the single best opportunity the Nyes chance?
It was the Matthew Nyes chance, and prime chances were at a premium in this game. As we talked about, the Florida Panthers defended well, so you weren't going to generate as much as you did, call it in games 1, 2, and 3 for that matter. But when you do get an opportunity, you have to do your best to bear down. And Matthew Nyes, a fortunate bounce as Seth Jones blows a tire, but Matthew Nyes takes a shot from a little too far out for my liking anyways. And if you go back to game 1, Matthew Nyes had a similar opportunity that resulted in a goal where he's going to get a breakaway, and this time he makes a move to go to the backhand. It's just the difference between things really going well for you and you have that conversation about, is this a little bit of a team that has that special something happening right now? And of course, you don't score, you get some dirty stuff after the whistle, but that was the chance for the Toronto Maple Leafs to tie things up, and you would have continued to say, there is something different about this team. They can score when the chances are at a premium, but they don't get that goal. And Matthew Nyes doesn't go back to the well on a move that he could have gone to because he had plenty of time on that play.
I loved where he shot the puck from there. If you remember the game in Pittsburgh where he surprised everybody with like 5 seconds left, he shot it early and he shot it right under the bar into the net. It just didn't go in. Like they're getting these 1 or 2 or 3 chances. One of them, somebody's got to step up and put it in the net.
There is not a playoff series that is played that doesn't have a few questionable hits these days. It's the playoffs. We analyze every single one. They're starting to accumulate a little bit in this series, and it ended with one as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's an element of hate that's developing in this series, and I think you would expect that, and both coaches probably encourage it to some degree. It's been a very physical series. I mean, we saw this Simon Benoit hit on Reinhart. I mean, that was a bone-crushing type of hit. But let's start Game 3. And I know that Leaf fans and the Leafs probably in general didn't like the fact that there was no call on the Rodriguez hit that was up high on John Tavares. And then you come into Game 4. What do you think of this one?
That's a penalty.
Kulikov on Marner. He dips a little bit, Marner, but that's a penalty that went uncalled. Now, Department of Player Safety will have a look at this. I'm not saying that Oliver Ekman-Larsson is going to be suspended, but it'll earn some attention from the Department of Player Safety. And then right at the end of the game, Max Domi gets a 5-minute major for boarding with that hit on Sasha Barkov. I mean, again, end of the game stuff.
Does it get looked at as well?
100% that gets looked at.
You know who else is looking at that one? Matthew Tkachuk, because as soon as that one happened on Barkov, he looked at Nylander and said, you're in play now. So
the scary thing about that Domi hit is that it fits a lot of criteria. Like, it's an unsuspecting guy, back's turned, you take a charge at him, he's 5 feet from the boards, 3 feet from the boards. Like, there's a lot of things that aren't going Domi's way when they review that hit.
Let's hear from the coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Craig Berube.
Well, they were good. They checked us hard tonight, but, the first period we're in the box the whole period, so you can wipe that period out. Too many penalties. We had looks. It's like they're doing a good job with swarming us with numbers, obviously, and we got to do a better job of getting that puck out of there quicker. And, I thought we were really coming in the third with some opportunities and moving the puck better in the offensive zone. And then, we took a penalty we took another penalty, kind of ruined our momentum a little bit. But, it's a battle out there. And this is what it is. They don't give you a lot. So we capitalize on some of the opportunities we had. It's a different game, right?
Joe really kept you guys in there, held you guys in. What'd you make of his performance tonight?
Yeah, he was great. I thought he played an excellent game. All those PPs they had in the first, and he was a big reason that it was only 1-0.
Yeah, you've stressed discipline.
Yeah.
But like you said, between the whistles as well. Just some of the stick penalties, the interference penalties, how frustrating is that?
That is, we don't need to take those, Hookings and, interference, we got to be better. We'll be smarter than that. But in the end, I really liked our physicality, our compete out there. Guys played hard. It's a tough series. They're a very good team. We know that. And it's a battle.
Craig, when you called a battle, do you feel like enough of your guys were engaged at the level they need to be, or do you need maybe a bit more in that area?
I thought most guys were engaged. I thought, they were, going good. Like, yeah, there's always, there's guys that could do more for sure, and we're going to need more out of them. So we'll figure that out and handle that.
To that point, how seriously will you consider making lineup changes for next game?
Yeah, we'll talk about it and look at a couple different options and what we think will be best for the team. We got a couple days to think about it and see what if we feel that's a better option. Thanks.
And now leads forward William Nylander.
What made it hard to break through offensively in this one tonight?
Yeah, I think that they got a job keeping us, on the outside and hard getting to the inside, letting their goalie see the puck. Yeah, they did a great job. I mean, 2-2 in a series, it's a tough battle.
William, what did you make of Joe's performance in this one?
Yeah, he made a couple really huge saves. Kept us in it all the way to the end. He had an amazing job tonight.
What's the feeling in the room heading home?
Yeah, I mean, 2-2. It's going to be a long series. That's, where our mind's at.
What sort of adjustment do you think you guys need to make?
I haven't really thought about it. I mean, kind of started on the back heel a little bit tonight with, a lot of PKs. So, but I mean, yeah, I think we've been playing well. We just got to maybe get a little bit more to the inside.
How do you see on the breakaway chance? Did Forsling close maybe a bit quicker than you thought, or how do you see
Yeah, I mean, he's good on his feet, so he was able to close the gap on me pretty good.
William, the emotions are getting up in these games. What was going on at the end there at the buzzer?
I don't really know. I didn't even really see, so I'll have to talk to the guys.
What did you think about Tkachuk getting in your ear there at the end?
Yeah, just talking. I mean, that's what he does.
Any effect on you?
No, I mean, he'll probably do whatever he can to, get a player off their game. But, yeah, next game will be a fun one.
Thanks, William.
Yeah, just as you said, he knows it's coming, doesn't he?
That's right.
There seems to be a sort of running debate right now on Austin Matthews, where there's one department saying, okay, he's not scoring, but he's playing the best sort of two-way hockey he's played. He's learned how to play playoff hockey. He's playing well. And the other that would say he might be playing well, but he's the best goal scorer in the world, and you have to score in a series like this. It's now 2 goals in the playoffs, hasn't scored since the deciding game against Ottawa. Where do you stand on this? Is Matthews, does he have to score at some point here? Or do you still think he's playing well and creating chances and it's just snake bit?
I don't think he's close to the top end of his game. I've watched every shift he's played in the National Hockey League, and he's not at that top level. And if you look at the series, there's some really talented players offensively that are not standing out offensively. You look at Barkov, Reinhart. Nobody's lighting the lamp and dominating, but he is one of the guys that's a separator. He's the highest paid player in the world. He's the best goal scorer in the world, and he's just not making a difference in these games. Him at 40% could go out there and play a good two-way hockey game. That's just how good a player he is. He's a good big body. He's good on face-offs. He's smart. But the way he separates himself is being a game breaker, and it's awfully difficult. The Florida Panthers don't give up a lot. But if you look at other quality players around the league, you don't think the Winnipeg Jets are saying you got to stay tight to Mikko Rantanen? I mean, the Vegas Golden Knights are saying, do not let McDavid and Draisaitl beat you. Yeah. And they almost seem to do it on a nightly basis. He's got to find a way to break through and make a difference.
The thing about Austin Matthews is he's getting chances. He's not scoring on his chances. And if he had found a way to score on a few of these chances throughout this series, we'd be talking about a different story with Austin Matthews. And this is what it always comes down to come playoff time. Yes, he's a good two-way guy. Yes, he can create offense. But can you capitalize on the chances when you might be sweating a little bit more, or you're just thinking things over a little bit more? That's where him and some of the other players on this team haven't been able to elevate their games. But you can have the conversation. If the Toronto Maple Leafs weren't going to win a Stanley Cup, who's your Conn Smythe guy? Like, you can go through the years of guys, whether it was Crosby in Pittsburgh or, you can go through it and say the best guy was the best guy, If the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to have success, Austin Matthews at some point is going to have to be the best guy, and that includes scoring timely and important goals.
It's all about production, being an offensive player. I played a ton of terrible games in the league, but you get a goal in the third period, and then you get an empty netter. Somebody comes and shakes your hand after and says, "You were awesome tonight." Right. No, you weren't. But it's about production, and it's about being a difference maker. That's all it is.
So we just heard Craig Berube talk about the possibility of a lineup change. Right? And we saw McMahon utilized differently. We saw William Nylander double shifted once or twice, as the hockey game drifted into the second half. So what do? I don't think you're taking apart that top line. You're going to leave Nyes with Matthews and Marner. Do you tinker a little bit with the second line? It started strong in this series with Pacioretty, Nylander, and Tavares. So, I mean, it could be lip service just talking to the media post-game. He's not going to show his hand going into Game 5. But I wonder what that looks like.
You guys were talking about a lot of the stars being quiet in the series on both sides. One of them was Carter Verhaeghe, but he scores a massive one tonight. Let's hear from him.
Played well. We played really good defense. We had good sticks, and I like their game. And it was a tight game all the way through. They're a really good team. They had some good chances, but obviously we'll take the win and go to Toronto.
You guys were chasing for large chunks of the series. What did it mean to get that early goal and hold that lead for the entire game?
Yeah, I think anytime we get the early goal, I think, we had some pretty poor starts in the series, and that was one thing we wanted to get better at. So I think getting the early goal definitely helped, and we did that, and held on and played pretty well.
2 wins at home, how does it feel to even up this series?
Yeah, it feels good. I think we're going to Toronto with some confidence, and we like taking care of home ice, and playing in front of our fans, it was awesome last couple of games, and we'll go to Toronto and try and win the next one.
Talk about the performance by Bob. Those chants were going on today. Bobby, just his performance today.
Yeah, I've seen it time and time again. He's such a leader back there. He keeps us so composed. Such a great goalie. I wouldn't want to play in front of any other goalie. Such a good guy too, and I love Bobby.
Did you guys feel like played this kind of game for your high school games?
I wouldn't say. I think it's just playoffs. I think sometimes they go in, sometimes it's a lower scoring. I think just generally, but we're comfortable in any type of game. We have a lot of skill that can score goals, and we also have a lot of good defensemen and good defensive players that can play defense. So I think we're just comfortable in all types of games.
On that, Carter, what do you say about the work that Gus and I put in, especially on the PK tonight?
Yeah, the PK has been really good all playoffs, and he blocks so many shots. He's such a good defenseman, and he has such a good stick. He seems like he knocks everything down. He gets in front of pucks. He's the most complete defenseman I've ever seen.
He's got you there at the end, but he's frustrated most of the night. You kind of expect that all the series goes back.
It is what it is. I think it's just playoff hockey, and it's kind of, it is what it is.
As these series get deeper, how much does having the experience that you guys have over the past 3 years help? How much is that a factor?
They have a lot of experience too. I think they've been in the playoffs. They have lots of playoff games, a lot of their guys, and we're two experienced teams going at it. But we have some good experience. We obviously had a couple of good years, but they're going to come out hot at home ice, and we're expecting their best.
Carter, what is it about the playoffs that brings out the best in you?
I think the playoffs should bring out the best in everyone. I think it's so competitive, and so everything about it is just more competitive. And
Two of the other Panthers heroes at the podium, Sam Bennett and Gus Forsling.
First for Benny, obviously so many of these games so far have been wide open, lots of chances, things like that. How did you kind of get this game kind of back to your game and back to Panthers hockey?
Yeah, that was more like the Panthers playoff hockey that we're used to. Tighter game, less opportunities. We didn't give up, many odd mans at all, and did a pretty good job of limiting their chances. And Bobby obviously sit on his head, so it was a pretty good game all around.
Gus, the breakaway chance that Nylander had, you were able to stop. Can you just walk us through how you were able to get there and just the importance of being able to do that, especially with it being a 1-goal game at the time?
Yeah, I sprinted all I could and just try to force him on his back, and I think me and Bob played that well.
This question's for either of you, but did either of you guys catch the hit from Max Domi on Alexander Barkov, and what's your reaction to the hit and kind of the aftermath of it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's trying to take a run at Barkey at the end there. The boys did a good job jumping in there and sticking up for Barkey. Yeah, I mean it's been a physical series, so I expect more of that.
Sam, can you kind of walk us through your goal? Obviously showed a lot of patience on that shot.
Yeah, I was when I was taking it down, I was looking at all my options. I was looking at passing first, and then I was shooting, and I just didn't see either of those open up, and was able to just hold on to it and wait them out a little bit, and then I was able to put it in.
Gus, obviously the PK played a big factor in tonight's game. Just take us through how important that was, especially the way Bob played on the PK.
Yeah, huge kills. I mean, that's a big part of the game. Special teams, power play came up big too, and we did our job too. So I think everyone's working hard, blocking shots, and we got a lot of confidence in our PK.
Sam and then Gus, just first off, what was the feeling like getting that goal, knowing it was 1-0? You guys were kind of flirting with fire there, only being up 1-0. How did it feel to get the goal and take some weight off, and what was that feeling like for the rest of the team?
Yeah, obviously, an insurance goal late feels good just to have a little bit of a cushion there. They were pushing hard, obviously, and in the third they're going to give a big push. So, it was definitely nice to have a little insurance there.
Guys. So where are we here? I remember when the Leafs were up 3-0 on the Senators and then lost 2 in a row. We had that discussion of whether all the old ghosts and doubts from the playoff failures of the last 8 years would creep in. And that was a big question. They didn't creep in. The Leafs played well and finished off the Senators. So here we are again, a little bit different situation. It was only 2-0 and now it's 2-2. Do those things creep in again, or is this different?
I don't think so. I think Craig Berube has done a great job of helping the players understand that this is a grind. And they did have an opportunity in overtime the other night to plant the seed to go up in the series and let the Florida Panthers know that you guys have played a ton of hockey. Maybe this is just not the year, and it didn't work. The Florida Panthers won the game on a Brad Marchand OT winner, and now they seem like they're back. But they do have an advantage of playing they get 2 or 3 at home, so they got to stay in this series, and they understand. They all say the right things. This is a grind. We know they're going to respond, and that's what happened tonight.
And the thing is, the reality is, you're not going to have your A game every single night. The schedule just does not permit it, and playing against the Florida Panthers does not permit it. But now you have an opportunity going on home ice, which you earned, to get back to your game that made you successful in this series. And the biggest thing was the speed at which they played. The pace was too much for the Florida Panthers. Yeah. The Panthers can bog them down, but if the Toronto Maple Leafs play at the same pace they played the first 2 games, they'll have a very good chance to win this series.
You brought up a good point, but to go to the promised land, I think you got to sneak out a couple games, several, if you don't have your A game. You saw them in Toronto. They can blow a team out, but if you don't have your A game, can you pull out a victory? They need to do that.
All right, let's hear from Panthers head coach Paul Maurice.
Paul, first, just update, scary moment there with Barkey at the end. Is he going to be okay, you think?
Yeah, we think he'll be all right.
Second, when you always talk about how Gustav Forsling's the fittest man on the team, how impressive was what he did there in the second period, chasing down Nylander to disrupt that breakaway?
Yeah, I mean, he's such a powerful skater. And he's earned a big tank on him. He can handle big minutes and also a pretty impressive burst when he needs to. But he earns that. He works so hard. Yeah, each year he comes back a more and more fit man, which would be easy for George and I to do that each year, but for a guy at his level, and I included myself, like we're brothers on this. But for a guy at the peak level, for him to come in as a more fit man each year, it's so incredible.
Paul,
sorry, George.
For tonight's game, it looked like more so than any other ones in the series, you guys played your brand of hockey for the majority of the game. What would you attribute the switch to that you guys were able to do your thing tonight more than the other games?
I'm not a momentum believer at all. We had a few good shifts, I think, early. We didn't get scored on in the first 35 seconds. That was a nice change for us. But we're mindful that it's one game. That I don't believe in momentum. I don't believe in trends. Puck will drop the next game, and we'll have to fight hard to get back to what I thought was a pretty well-played game by our team.
Paul, another injury thing. Evan Rodriguez, any update on him?
No, he's going to need evaluation tomorrow to understand.
Okay. And then Carter Verhaeghe, we've talked a lot about during the regular season having a lot of chances, things not going in. Last game helped set up the Marchand game winner, and then today gets you guys the first goal in the power play. Just to see him looking like himself like he usually does in the playoffs.
I would say through 9 games, Carter has been our most consistent forward, and playoff hockey is hockey. He understands. It resonates with him. It's played at an incredibly high pace. It's very physical, and that's where he is at his best. Everything kind of falls in line for him. All his reads are right. All his physicality is right. He's plays a very hard, very fast game, and he needs the game sometimes to be hard and fast for him to excel. I think he's been our most consistent player through 9 up front.
Paul, obviously, defense looked great tonight. Only allowed, I think, 22 shots. Just what was working for them on that side of the ice?
I thought our gaps were good. I thought our forwards did some really fine work allowing that to happen. Such a dynamic team Toronto is, that if you don't do enough work from the goal line to your red line, you're going to be you put the defense in a very, very difficult position. So I thought our forwards allowed the D to play well, and the D did.
Do you feel like you talked today that you're trying to get back to your team style? Did you feel like tonight? But did you guys seem to really, Toronto couldn't get anything going. You guys were pushing them back.
My seat's different than yours. They are dynamic and they are dangerous at all points. It's very similar to the feel of Tampa Bay. So I didn't feel that I never ever look at the shot clock. That tells me nothing in the game. I like the way we played, and that would be about the extent of it.
Panthers coach Paul Maurice. So out of that, Rodriguez being evaluated tomorrow after the hit, and as Dregs reported earlier, a couple of those hits will be looked at by the National Hockey League. Besides that, I agree with Paul Maurice. I think we've all seen it plenty of times. Momentum doesn't matter at all game to game in the Stanley Cup playoffs, especially when you have 2 days off. And so we are a best of 3 that starts fresh on Wednesday night.